Hi, my name's Grant Miller, and this is my rig. It's a 97 road rescue Freightliner fire rescue ambulance from San Ramon Valley, nearby here. Come on in and check it out. So this is the kitchen area, and it had all the ambulance shelves, and I took that. This is the only existing one on this side, and I took everything else out just to make room. I built this Black Walnut live edge slab from a very rough cut, and did an undermount hammered copper sink. Got the water pump switch there, and then this does that good stuff. I love Manzanita. And so I got these from a local florist, and then I varnished them, and I made these little custom shelves, and they've got Ewoks living in their little Ewok village up here. In here, I've got just some utensils and pot, another water filter jug, and then this is where all the electronics, all the controls, so they're all hidden, are right here. And then I built this little plate holder and paper towel holder and a little spice rack, which I still need to populate. So when I was building out the roof, I took out, these were the bay lights on both sides. And once I took them out, I realized I had an extra few inches of headspace. I'm 6 foot, and I can pretty, with my shoes off, I can stand very comfortably in these, I call them my standing lanes. And they've got some UV lights in here just for ambiance. I got a Max Air roof vent, which this is one of my very favorite things. This cools the whole thing off so well. So when I was looking for an AC unit, I wanted two things. I wanted it to have a heater unit, which it's got a heater element in there, and I wanted it to draw very low power. It's a 7,000 BTU unit, and it runs right off my inverter and solar. It's better if it's plugged into shore power, but it will run for a while on solar. And it does a good job, but I don't use it a whole lot. I like the heat, and the Max Air does plenty. The reason why I got this is because, during, right after the lockdown in 2020, summer 2020, I was looking actively for a camper. I originally wanted a schoolie or a shuttle bus, and I looked at some, and they were just outrageously expensive. The motorhomes I drove felt like they were shaky balsa wood and cardboard, and I hated them. The only other build I'd ever done was a 88 Toyota camper, and kind of like a Dolphin, and that one I had redone. So I kind of knew how I wanted to do it. I just didn't know exactly what I wanted to use. And then one day on Facebook Marketplace, this thing just showed up, and I talked to the guy, super nice guy, and he actually drove it to my house to show it to me. As soon as I saw it, I fell in love. I had never considered an ambulance, but after showing me, he had already started the conversion, and I love what he did, and I thought I could just do some minor changes and make it my own. Ended up doing a lot more than that, but he did an excellent job already starting it. He had painted it. He was a equipment mechanic, and so he took really good care of it and maintained it. So I couldn't be happier with the cell and the seller. He's a great guy. So inside the entryway, this is the original heater and air conditioner unit that runs off the engine AC, and it works. A lot of people gut this, take it out, turn it into a bathroom or shower, and I thought about it, but since I mostly use it just for dry camping, I thought I might be able to use it in a pinch, so I just left it since it's working. But over here, I've got a pantry, and I've just thrown a bunch of food and some storage and miscellaneous stuff. I still need to build a shelf so I can maximize the space. And then here, it's just more storage. So this originally was just it was just a wall, and I cut it out, made a door, and this slides out. And it's a freezer fridge. Right now I've got it running off a 12 volt because that's the most efficient way for it. It's enough for me and one other person, but that's the one thing. I would get a bigger fridge if I could fit it in there, which I probably could. This is the all untouched original ambulance wiring and lights, and everything works still, which I love. I don't try not to use it, but I can. So this is one of the parts of the ambulance that I chose not to demo. It originally had a pole running here, which was affectionately called the stripper pole, but I wanted to keep it just because it was cool, but I also wanted to build a nice shelf here and tabletop, so I took it out. And I got these custom signs made, fire extinguisher here and first aid here. So I've got this fire extinguisher, and there's one in the cab too. So this was just a wall, and when I was putting in the light switches, I realized there was a huge void back there. And so I built this door, and so I can store really tall vertical things in there. And then there's a secret hidden passageway that runs the whole length underneath that I made that may or may not have some fun stuff in there. In here is each one of these just has miscellaneous storage. So I couldn't put a window on this side. If I was going to put a window in, the only place I could do it is right here for the kitchen area. But I put my wall art up instead of the window. So once I got it, I had to park in front of my house, and I knew that was going to be an issue because the neighbors were not going to super love this giant green Campzilla outside their house, and it got called on a few times and stickered, but every officer that came out loved it. So they were totally cool and gave me a lot of leeway, which was nice. And I worked on it and drove it all the time since 2020. I just finished it beginning of the summer, so it was basically a year and a half. I'm a technical illustrator at Tesla in Fremont, and so I'm very, very busy, and I did everything by myself. I had no help from anybody, and I could only work on it on the weekends and sometimes after I got off work. So it took longer than I thought. Plus I changed my mind. I did a lot of CAD mock-ups, started doing what I wanted to do, and then realized I wanted to go a different direction, so then I have to do some more mock-ups, and then so I started over, I'd say twice, and ended up gutting it down to the studs and building it out exactly how I wanted it, and with the intention of dry camping mostly. And I offered it to my daughter to use because she's a hairdresser, and so during the lockdown I said, look, I'll build you a little hairdressing station and you can be a mobile hairstylist, but she chose not to, and I respect that. So I knew it was going to be mine, and so I got full creative control, nobody's input, and so I got a lot of inspiration from all the tiny homes and van lifers that I follow on Instagram and YouTube. And the biggest learning experience for the whole build was definitely done connecting with people online between all different social medias and groups that I joined, and their information was invaluable, and then I've shared what I've learned, and being a part of this community has been amazing. For me, I wanted to get a queen size 60 inch by 80 inch queen size bed in here somehow, and so all of this exterior stuff got cut away. It got cut into the cabinets, and I got an aluminum fabricator out here just to weld up a few pieces that I couldn't do, and then I built all the wood framing and made the table and the leaves. The leaves can store underneath this bench on this side, But I like to leave them out because it just adds additional seating. And then the telescoping pedestal mount sinks the table down. I just swivel it like this, and it just sinks down, pull everything out, and then the back cushions go in the middle, and then I've got a giant bed. So my son's a gamer, and I like movies. So I thought, how can I get something that will mount up that's somewhat hidden? It's, you know, the same color as the walls. And after doing some research, I found out that the Xbox One, this model, it's got a really good 4K movie player. So I've got a bunch of DVDs and Blu-rays and a bunch of Xbox games. So the kid and I can play games or watch movies. And it's a 50-inch. And I built a wood frame to kind of tie it in. Welcome to the exterior of the Campzilla. One of the best things about building an ambulance is all the exterior storage. It's really secure, and there's a ton of it. So in here, I've got just miscellaneous camping stuff, fishing pole, metal detector, just fun junk that gets used occasionally. The ghillie suit is from the previous owner, and I would love to throw this on there and hide the whole rig at some point, but that'll only come with a major disaster, I think. So this one, hopefully I'll never ever have to use the generator. I've got the Camp Chef and all my electrical tools. One of the things the previous owner did is he had some shutters, and he did a great job with them, but they were older and they were wood, and they were starting to fall apart. And so I really, really wanted to, I love the shutter look, so I wanted to keep it, but I wanted to get something that was very durable and will last forever. So I went to a local shutter store, and they had a real tough time understanding that it wasn't for a house, and it had to be to these exact dimensions. So it was a very trying thing to get these made, and it took 2 times for them to make them, but they got made. Being able to keep the back doors open, it allows so much more airflow through. It immediately drops the temperature in there 10-15 degrees, and then you get this view, and no matter where you are, this is the best view because it's such a huge opening. So I built the roof deck because I knew I wanted to do stargazing, watch fireworks, 4th of July, get a great view at the beach, and I knew I wanted some shade, so I got this 180-degree umbrella, and I put these custom mounts on there. It's got a yacht foam flooring on it that's waterproof and is lightweight and cool to sit on. I originally put some composite decking, and I burnt myself just standing on it, so I got rid of it and started over. So I've taken it out a few times and taken it to lakes and some festivals, and I've actually taken it to work and stayed in it for a little bit. And so that's what I've done so far. For the future, I plan to do just a lot more of the same. I want to, basically I made it so I can just jump in it with my backpack full of clothes, maybe throw some waters and beers in the fridge, and I can be at a campsite and unload in 15 minutes, and I can pack up and leave in 15 minutes. And that is one of my favorite things. Whenever I tent camp, it's such an ordeal, and getting to avoid all that it just makes it so much more enjoyable. I can just jump in this thing anytime, go to the beach, and then I can choose to stay overnight or not. If I get tired, I can just rest. So just more festivals and a lot more camping. This is the garage. So I've got my leveling blocks and propane tank, and then I built just slide out drawers with all my tools. And then there's some power tools underneath there. When I run the air conditioner inside, I have to keep this open because it just exhausts out everything. It'll pop a breaker almost instantly if I don't leave the door open. And there's just a little cubby, and the dinette is right here. I've got my city water inlet here. And this is kind of it's the water cabinet and continuation of the garage. So I've got my air compressor, jack stands, extra hoses, all kinds of tools and extra oil and additive, extra belt, which I highly recommend. Have belts and hoses for your engine if you can get a hold of them. I have both of these tanks custom made for this space, and this is a 11 gallon and this is a 8 gallon, and this is just it's basically the gray water tank. And I've got the water system going up through the Pro filters, and I've got this selector valve so I can hook up my hose to here, and in a pinch I could put the hose in a pool or a pond or a lake and turn the pump on, and it'll suck water through the filters in a pinch, but I'd rather not. It's just kind of emergency. I normally just use the city water inlet. And this is the electrical cabinet. This is a 3,000 watt inverter charger, and I've got 200 amp hours of Battleborn, and then there's another 200 amps of gel batteries that are the original house batteries, and they're tied together so they get charged together, but these have priority. And I basically did a combination of a Renogy and Victron units, and just did a ton of YouTubing. I've done a lot of electrical work, but nothing like this, and so this was all new for me, and it was probably my favorite thing to do. I got hydraulic cable crimpers, bought raw cable, all the connectors, and did every last bit of it myself. And the very first time it powered on, it worked, and have yet to have a problem. So the cab was kind of rough when I first got it. Put it all back to stock. I got some new seats off of eBay that were takeoffs, and I redid the door panels myself. This whole center console I built from scratch. I had this top aluminum piece powder coated. I used some of the ambulance latches. This is a Chevy Tahoe cup holder that I cut and put in there. Remounted the CB and all the controls here. All this works. I fire extinguisher mount there, and basically just tried to keep it nice and clean in here. Thanks everybody for joining us on the tour. I love showing it off. I have the build on Instagram, and it's camp.zilla, and follow the page, and I'll probably follow you, and hope to see you at a festival or a campground.